Hey guys, so here we are on days 9, 10, and 11 of our sleep training series in our naps edition. We've had some good days, we've had some bad days, we've had some 50-50 days, but we did have one awesome day that we're going to review here. We are on 9, 10, and 11, so let's get right into day 9. Colton woke up at 5:45 this day. His first nap was at 7:59 and he passed out. He was obviously more than just halfway to sleep when I put him down. He was pretty much well asleep, and it just kind of happened that way. He was up for 2 hours and 10 minutes. He went to sleep immediately and he slept for 32 minutes that nap. The next nap was at 9:43, so he was only up for an hour and 11 minutes this time. And that's a little bit early. It's earlier than I normally would. He usually goes around the hour and 40-minute mark is a good time for him, but he was falling asleep on my husband's shoulder. So I just took him, I brought him right upstairs. Trying to find his window is a really tricky thing. Typically, he has about a half an hour nap. So that only allows him to be awake for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Sometimes he hits the 2-hour mark. It really fluctuates. And then there's other times where he wants to sleep more, can't get himself back to sleep. So we get into some tricky times. But anyways, back to day 9 here. Nap number 2 started at 9:43, laid him down. He was asleep by 9:52 and he was awake by 10:28. So he was only up for an hour and 11 minutes. It took him less than 10 minutes to fall asleep, and he slept for 35 minutes. And that's a good marker for me because he passed that half an hour mark, and it may not seem much to hit 35 minutes, but it's like he wakes up almost to 30 minutes on the dot. So the fact that he made it past half an hour, I took that as a really good sign. And he wasn't as angry when he woke up from this nap. Like usually he wakes up and, he's crying instantly, and it takes me some time to calm him down. And quite frankly, my daughter is the best distraction, and it kind of pulls him out of his pulls him out of his crabby mood quite quickly. So I'm glad when she's awake when he wakes up, because it really helps me out to calm him down from his nap. But on that nap, he wasn't quite as angry when he woke up. So nap number 3 was at 12:09. 12:16 he was asleep. 12:52 he was awake, and by 1 o'clock I had him out of his crib. So he was up for an hour and 40 minutes, 7 minutes to fall asleep, and 36 minutes in his nap. So another nap that surpassed the 30-minute mark. And I do give him a good 10 minutes or so before I get him out of his crib to see if he shows any signs that he may be trying to get back to sleep. And once we get a little bit better at this, I'm going to start to increase that time in hopes that his naps start to pick up and stay longer once he's better at getting himself back to sleep. So his fourth nap of the day was at 2:57. He was asleep by 3 o'clock, and he was awake at 3:30 on the dot. So he was up for 2 hours and 5 minutes that time, few minutes to sleep, and 30 minutes of sleep. So now this is a weird time. So he's awake at 3:30. Now, so I think he's going to be tired around 5 or 5:30, and that's going to mess up bedtime. So I'm in a really tricky spot here where, I don't want to keep him awake longer than he can be, because I don't want an overtired baby, but I don't really want him taking too much of a nap. So quite honestly, I was thinking that my best option in this situation would probably be to just let him have like a 5 or 10 minute cat nap, just like on my shoulder in the living room when he got drowsy. That didn't happen. Around the 5:30 mark, he was still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. He was happy. He didn't look tired. He didn't sound tired. He wasn't acting tired. And I think in part of just the activities that are happening at that time of day, like dinner. He usually sits on my lap or my husband's lap for dinner, and he loves watching us eat. Like, he just kind of bounces from person to person, mostly watches my husband. But he just loves watching us eat. It's really, really crazy. Sometimes he's really active and, chatty, which hasn't been lately. He's had a bit of a sore throat or lost his voice ever since we started this sleep training, which is starting to come back to him, or he just stares and drools. But you know, he is 5 months old today, so he is going to start to show more interest in food, I'm assuming, because you know, in the next month or so we're going to start to introduce solid foods to him. So these are all good signs. So you know, our bedtime was at 6:30 that day. We did dinner, we did bath, and then as soon as I did bring him upstairs and got to the upstairs part of our bedtime routine, then he was just like, oh, Mom, I'm so tired. But wasn't crabby or cranky about it. We still had a good feed and a good night, and he probably passed out pretty quickly that night. But he went to bed at 6:30, which isn't out of the regular. Anywhere between 20 after 6 and 6:40 tends to be his bedtime, depending on how our day went. So that was a really good day. Day 10, this is where we had the weird start. He woke up, I did some early morning nursing, made some really bad choices, which I outline in my nighttime vlogs. But let's begin anyway. So his wake up time was 7:30 that morning. Nap number 1 was 9:30. He was asleep at 9:34 and awake at 10:05. So, you know, he was up for 2 hours, a few minutes fall asleep, and he had a 30-minute nap. Nap number 2, so I laid him down at 11:35 because he was falling asleep on me. And then at 11:50, so, you know, 25 minutes later, or 15 minutes later, he was showing me no signs of going to sleep. So he had a steady cry. He seemed to be quite hungry when I brought him up, which again, it's hard to, you know, I know he likes to nurse to sleep, but in my time of feedings here, he also could actually be hungry at this time. So I nursed him again. He nursed for about 15 minutes, which tells me that he was hungry, not just trying to go to sleep, because if he's tired, within 5 minutes, he's falling asleep on me, right? So within nap number 2, that little time where he was falling asleep on me, that was it. It fueled him right up again. So he kind of skipped that nap, really. Nap number 3 was at 1:42. By 1:46, he was asleep, and at 2:05, he was awake again. He's just almost... So he was up for 2 hours. Only took him a couple minutes to fall asleep, but he only had a 20-minute nap that time. Nap number 4 was started at 3:43. He was asleep at 3:46. And then he was crying at 3:52. And this is, again, we get into a weird spot. I know he needs to sleep, but he's up. And I didn't want him to have just another little few-minute nap, because I don't want a disaster at bedtime, and I need this boy to get some sleep. So I went back into his room and I nursed him for a few minutes because I knew that would make him drowsy. And I think this is where this really backfired on me at nighttime, because at that night he woke up early in the morning, and it's a mixed message. And doing this, I completely regret doing this to him, because I'm starting to send him mixed messages now, as in I'm going to use nursing to get you to go back to sleep. So I don't know what I was thinking at this moment. Really poor choice. Again, you make some decisions in the moment, and some of them are right and some of them are not right. This was a not right decision to make. But anyways, so then I laid him down at 4:15, and he was sleeping, and 15 minutes later he woke up. So he got that little nap in before bedtime, but I totally misused the nursing to get him to go back to sleep. It worked, but you know, it's a short-term fix for the bigger problem, not helping at all. So day 11, we had a great day. Day 11, we finally had a great day. I had a rough night that night, again, because of my nursing, but he was up at 6:13. So his first nap was at 7:53. At 7:59 he was asleep, and at 8:28 he was awake. And he was awake for a minute before he started crying, I noticed this time. So he was up for an hour, 49 minutes, and he slept for 30 minutes. His second nap was at 10:56. He was asleep by 10:58, and he slept till 11:32. He was up for 2 hours and 30 minutes this time, which is very odd for him. But as we were laying in the living room and playing here, he started dropping some pretty good stink bombs. So I was hoping that he was going to take a poo, because you know, stinky farts are a sign of a sure poo to come. And throughout this whole ordeal, he hasn't been consistently pooping every day now, because this is taking a physical stress out on him. You know, as much as it is helping him, it is a bit of a stressful situation for him to be going through this sleep training, just as well as it's stressful for me as well. And for his little body, that means he hasn't been pooping every day. So he wasn't fussing in a manner to which he was, you know, getting overtired. So I just kind of let him be. We did some, you know, a lot of leg moving activities and stuff like that. And sure enough, he did poop. So I'm so glad that I didn't try to put him down. He had a poop, and then we went for his nap. So he was up for 2 hours and 30 minutes this time. Only took him 2 minutes to fall asleep, and he slept for half an hour. That was great. Nap number 3 came 50 minutes after nap number 2. He was nursing kind of on and off since he had woken up from his nap at 11:30. 11:40, I started nursing him, and he was on and off, changed his bump again. He was kind of getting dozy on me, so I thought, I'm gonna bring him back upstairs. And I started to sing his nap time routine song that I sing to him at bedtime as well, when we were going up the stairs. And he snuggled, turned right into me and started snuggling right up. So we got upstairs, I laid him down at 12:21, and by 12:25 he was asleep, and he slept until 2:15. It finally happened. This kid had almost a full 2-hour nap. He didn't really wake up. Well, I mean, he may have opened his eyes here and there, but he slept for 2 hours. He didn't wake up and cry throughout any of that. So he made it through a few sleep cycles. It was so fantastic. It was so good. I felt so good. I was so happy for me. I was so happy for him. He woke up at 2:15, and then he still did have a 4th nap, and I wasn't too sure how this was going to go. He's never slept this long since we started this sleep training process, so I didn't know if that was going to totally wipe out his last nap, if he was going to have enough energy, but he still kept on the same path. An hour and 40 minutes later, at 3:56, I laid him down. At 4:09, he was crying. And then he really didn't get to sleep until 4:12, and he slept until 4:35. So we just had like a 20-minute nap, which was great. Got him through until his bedtime. So day 11 was our most successful day. I'm hoping that this is kind of the turnaround point, because I don't feel like we've been having great success with our naps. And it is a longer process. It does take long, but we're coming into, you know, we're halfway through the 2nd week now. So I'm hoping that we start to see some steady progression. You know, I don't expect him to have a 2-hour nap every day now, but just some progression, some naps lasting a little longer than 30 minutes, or, you know, I'll find whatever I can here. Thumb sucking, finger sucking, stuff like that. So that is it for our nap videos for now. Be sure to check out our nighttime sleep videos if sleep training is something that you see in your future. Might help you with just kind of a day-to-day what happened to us and what you can expect. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to continue this conversation and join us on our journey of nap training, then consider subscribing. Thanks.